fellas. We finally made it.
It's that time.
We're done with
football
the draft
time,
talk.
baby.
We're done with
It's
the
that
preseason
time.
talk.
Best week of the year.
Dude,
Football kickoff, Christmas, whatever you want 3 to be. Spooky season.
Dude,
I don't care.
It's football kickoff. It's week 2, and then it's week 3. What are we talking about here? Then all the other subsequent weeks.
Everyone's got a sense of hope.
Yeah, petition.
Yeah, everybody's even.
Every team is going 17-0. Petition to move the Labor Day off to Thursday night kickoff. That's it's for the nation. Mondays off are great. Thursdays off with football are better. Undoubtedly.
Yeah, it's not even a real competition. Like, I mean, we got a little bit of taste with it with the college football slate, but you know, we're back to real football. It's finally week 1.
No more with that being said, 0 scores, people.
Yeah. Well, who knows? The Cardinals do play this week, so they might get
Commanders defense.
I am streaming the Commanders defense. So without further ado, let's kind of just get into. Do you want to get right into it, or do you have other things to say about the start of football?
You want to talk about the news a little bit? There's a couple injury updates I think we need to get into today. Just a quick little news drop.
Yeah, I can hit that.
So I think the big one for this week was the Travis Kelce injury today. Hyperextended his knee in practice, questionable going into week 1, which is obviously even more difficult for them because they play Thursday, opening week, right, against a pretty good offense probably. Yep. So my big question is, why is your all-star tight end practicing, like actually doing drills 2 days before a game? Somebody explain that to me.
I mean, it's not preseason; it's practice. Like he should be running through his practice. It just like from what I've heard from it, it just seems to be like a freak thing. Like he must have stepped on it wrong and popped it out. They say his ACL is completely fine. If this were a Sunday game, I'd feel a little bit more optimistic about him playing because he hasn't missed a game due to injury since 2013, I believe it is. So it's tough to say. I mean, because none of them played during the preseason. You're trying to get real reps in, get some of the rust off. It could have happened at any point in time. You know what I mean?
I think the other big thing is how this affects the line, right, for this Thursday. I mean, no Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney's banged up, new offensive line. I mean, like you still have to kind of like feel like the Chiefs are in this, but I don't feel good about it. Like I don't feel like it's a slam dunk win for them.
I think the line was at 6.5, minus 6.5 for the Chiefs last night. I bet it moves closer to like 4. I'm off of picking a side on that game. I like the over still at 54.5. I bet it even slides down a point or two because of the Kelce news, and I'm hammering it. Because in season kickoff games with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, the Chiefs score 36.7 points in those games, and then they typically give up over 20 points in those games. The total is sitting at 54.5. I like both offenses. Chris Jones might not play either because of his holdout news. So yeah, I think that smash the over on that game. Maybe play a little like
doesn't play. That's like 30 points for the Lions. Like if they put up less than 30 with no Chris Jones, that defense is not the same without him.
I totally agree with you on that. Like I said, I think this could easily be a 35-32 game. Chiefs win, don't cover, something along those lines. But again, taking the Lions on the spread against the Chiefs coming off a Super Bowl, you're playing a dangerous game there. It's still Patrick Mahomes. I think Jerick McKinnon's going to have a huge game. That's where I'm at. Like I don't trust the Chiefs wide receivers, but all Mahomes really needs is a running back. He's proved it before. Bahookie, what do you think about this game?
It definitely got more intriguing. The talent level still got a little bit closer. the difference is going to be Andy Reid. Andy Reid has still had a number of weeks to prepare for this. Travis Kelce is a curveball, but Andy Reid is going to have this team ready to go. They're going to use all this as bulletin board material. Patrick Mahomes is going to have a master class, and it's going to be a tough environment for this Detroit team to come into first night of the season. And I still got Patrick Mahomes doing his thing. Maybe it's right around that 6.5 to 10 points.
Man,
Okay.
I just have a different outlook, I guess. It's crazy because if we're talking week 1 slate, we can just talk Thursday night kickoff, right? Yep. I like Spagnuolo and his defensive outlook, and I feel like they really make the Chiefs defense work without a whole lot of star power, and they like to put that into offense. Hey,
what's going on?
I'm trying to see if the stream holds. I'm in the studios right now. It's not the strongest connection, but if I get cut off, it ain't my fault.
It's okay. We're happy you're here.
I know.
So, yeah, I think it's really a matchup of the Chiefs defense versus the Lions offense, because I have no doubt Patrick Mahomes is going to do Patrick Mahomes level things. I think it really comes down to when they score, is it going to be field goals or touchdowns? Because right as that field condenses, anybody who's played football knows, like, the closer you get to the end zone, it can be harder to score against certain defenses because you have less room to move away from zone defense. And I thought Travis Kelce was really going to be the big mismatch, just on top of normal. Like, if you're asking a linebacker to drop into coverage with him, and that linebacker's a rookie Jack Campbell, I was really worried about that. So I actually really like the Lions and Ben Johnson to upset on Thursday night.
All right. Yeah, so Shane, we're talking Thursday night football here, getting right into the game picks for this. What do you think about the Travis Kelce news? Does it impact what you're thinking for this pick?
So the Travis Kelce news is on par where if the Vikings lost Justin Jefferson, he plays tight end, but he's wide receiver 1. And if you compared him with all the number 1 targets in the NFL, you'd be hard pressed to find anyone. We probably find more people talented, but maybe not as valuable in relation to the team's success as far as number 1 weapon goes. If he doesn't play, he's going to be thrown to guys like Noah Gray and Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, guys who can move the chains but ain't difference makers. These are kind of the Patriots weapons, Lamb, for perspective. Patriots weapons were like they had the quarterback who can get it to anybody, but didn't have that difference maker. And really, Travis Kelce, in a way, is their Gronk in that respect. If he doesn't play, I don't think that necessarily affects the way whether or not they win or not. I think Chris Jones actually is a bigger loss, just because he added the most pressure per pass rush snaps on that defensive line. Travis Kelce is a huge loss for the offense. Don't get me wrong, but it'd be a way bigger deal if Patrick Mahomes wasn't playing. And I don't mean this disrespect with tight ends. Losing your tight end ain't the same thing as losing your quarterback. I understand what he means to the team. Chris Jones, I feel like, is the bigger loss for them. I would still lean the Chiefs, but it's definitely going to be a noticeable difference.
Okay. So I definitely love what you said about Chris Jones there. He's a big time player. Nobody really talks about him like this, but if they didn't have Chris Jones, I'm not so sure that the Chiefs would have 2 Super Bowl wins. So he makes big plays in big time moments down the stretch in games. He shows up. He's a dog. So, I mean, without further ado, we kind of talked about that game. Let's kind of hit our picks here. I think we're all kind of feeling the Chiefs. If that's so, oh no, Louis is not. Louis, are you picking the Lions here to win this?
I'm taking Lions by 3, or less than 3 probably. A quick field goal, 1 point, 2 point difference at the end of the game. I think they come in underdog energy. Dan Campbell thrives, and I just think the Super Bowl hangover mixed with just some key losses. Obviously, if Travis Kelce comes back or Chris Jones decides to play, I think I'll eat my words on that. But as it stands today, and I expect Thursday to unfold without those two, I think I'm going to take the Lions by a slim margin.
Okay, I like that. I mean, Jared Goff's beaten Patrick Mahomes before in a high scoring game. We all remember that Chiefs Rams game, don't we?
Yeah. And I just don't like I don't like the Chiefs corners that much. Like they're good. They're not great. There's nobody you're scared to throw against or that drives you to a certain part of the field. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to add a big receiving threat here. I like Laporta quite a bit. And then obviously you have Amon-Ra. So I think they get it done.
Bahookie, what do you think? Where are you going here?
It's going to be hard for me to pick against the defending champs against anyone this year. And you got Andy Reid with a whole offseason to prepare for this game. You got Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, those are both big losses. I'm not going to take anything away from Chris Jones or Travis Kelce, but this is going to be a crazy environment that this Detroit team is coming into Arrowhead, coming off a Super Bowl. They didn't get to properly celebrate their last Super Bowl because of COVID. I'm taking the Chiefs until someone shows me that they're not the best team in the NFL.
Shane, what do you think? Where's your pick at here?
So I looked this up. The last 6 years in the season opener, the Super Bowl champ is 3-3. Because the reality is like teams have a hard time rebuilding the roster they had the year before. The issue, though, is that they have the most important piece in Patrick Mahomes. And in the NFL, in a passing league, passing makes all the difference in the world. Now, I agree with Louie's dissertation. The Lions have a much better roster across the board. But in today's NFL, and we saw in the Super Bowl, the quarterback makes all the difference. And unless the Lions can get after Pat Mahomes what's become one of the better offensive lines in football, I don't see it, at least not yet. I still think the Lions should be the favorite in the North, but I still think the Chiefs take game one.
All right, yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well, but I'm going to go with like a 1 point, 2 point game here. Like I think that the Lions show up and they show a lot of people that didn't believe that they should play in this game and be like scheduled here. They're going to show them why they are. And like I like I'm high on the Lions this year. I think that a lot of people gave Goff a lot of shit for the way that things kind of ended in the Rams, but he went to a Super Bowl still. Like he played in a Super Bowl. Like he was a good quarterback, but he still has skills. He's got good pieces around him. But it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes, man. Even without Travis Kelce, even without Chris Jones. I watched Tom Brady do it without a bunch of people for years. And if Patrick Mahomes really is him, which it seems like he is, he's going to win this game. So, yeah, I think that the Chiefs are going to win, and we can move on to the next game, which is not nearly as exciting, but we're still going to have to talk about it. We're going to talk about the Washington Commanders and the Arizona Cardinals. Go from the highest high to like the lowest low here in the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are a 2-win football team this year, and I don't think they're getting 1 win here. I think the Commanders are going to roll 21-3 type of game, 28-7. Even with Terry McLaurin having a turf toe, being limited at best, I still think Jahan Dotson and Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson can go out there and beat this Cardinals team that doesn't seem like it's really trying to win any games this year. Blake, what do you think here?
I think more or less kind of the opposite of what I just said. The same way, like, it's going to take a lot for me to get off of the Chiefs against anyone. It's going to be hard for me to choose against anyone playing the Cardinals. Yeah, I'm with you. I got Washington in this.
Lou, you want to go? Yeah. I think you're throwing money away if you take the Cardinals on this match. I will say, to give Cardinals fans some hope, what there is to watch is Paris Johnson Jr. against a really good defensive line. You took a tackle really high. You're hoping you're anchoring the left side of this line with a top 10 pick. So Commanders have talent all across the defensive line. Watch the stunts, watch how he handles pressure, watch how he moves off of, doubles or picks up an extra man. That's where I would keep my focus and not on anything else happening on that field.
All right, Shane, you want to wrap up this so we can move on to a different game?
Yeah, I projected the Washington to finish third in the NFC East because I actually believe in terms of the quarterback play between Sam Howell and Daniel Jones. To be fair, I had a higher grade on Sam Howell coming out. I wasn't surprised by how well he came in, played that last game against the Cowboys, as well as just how he's looked in camp so far. And, y'all been saying that there's nothing really right now that shows the Cardinals are doing anything but really trying to tank for Caleb Williams. And I still think we have a long season. I don't think we should just write off Caleb Williams as the number one overall pick, even though it feels like that. But he got rid of Colt McCoy, who's been one of the better backup quarterbacks / bridge quarterbacks in the NFL. You don't get rid of that guy. One, if you don't think that you can't win, and two, if you don't have a plan already to try and lose on purpose, because I don't know how much more the Cardinals really want to deal with Kyler Murray. And nothing has really come out of that situation that indicates they have a good relationship. There's a reason why, and I thought it was Bush League to do it in the first place, but there's a reason why they added that stipulation in his contract about watching film and taking notes, and it's starting to show itself a little bit. Now, granted, he's out because of injury. But if you go back to his days in high school, he played at the Allen Fieldhouse. Then he went to A&M, didn't get his chance to start there, transferred to Oklahoma. He's had a hard time dealing with adversity. And in those situations, he has to go to a new team every single time whenever faces adversity. And I think this might be his next challenge, really. I think is that if the Cardinals are serious about losing on purpose to get a Caleb Williams or a Drake May, whoever they like better, his time might be done just as soon as he got here.
Yep. Hashtag tank season for the Cardinals.
Just touching on that point real briefly, I agree with Shane. I think it was a completely unserious move to bring in Josh Dobbs with how much true potential we saw in the preseason. If they were looking for a competent player, you keep Colt McCoy and you bring in one of these guys who's been going off. You don't trade for a guy who was going to get cut or was, if the Browns were willing to let him go, he wasn't that good. So I just, felt a little unserious to me.
They also traded Josh Jones that started 14 games for them at offensive line, he may not have been a premium talent on the offensive line, but shit, I think he's still a starting level, replacement level type of player.
Starting for us week 1.
Yeah, he would start for the Patriots week 1 too. He just gave him away for a sack of potatoes. Sure. I don't really get that personally.
I think they're just trying to move off because he's on his last year of his rookie contract. They want a complete reset when it comes to this roster, and I think they're heavily leaning into it to start the season.
All right, I think
gives me more reason to believe that Kyler won't play because you're not going to put him out there behind a paper bag offensive line and let him get hurt again if you have any thought of trading him.
I think he gets traded at the deadline, to be completely honest with you guys. Shane's shaking his head no, but I think that you said Kyler Murray, you said it. He doesn't like dealing with adversity. I think he could possibly, if he knows he's healthy and isn't going to start again this year, I think he could possibly force his way out of there.
Yeah, but you forget his contract has a no trade clause, and he would have to agree to it. And plus, if he is coming off an injury, they're going to want to see what their team looks like once he gets to that point that he returns. You also have to think at that point, what team is going to be so good that they're really a quarterback away at the trade deadline that they need a quarterback to want to take on his contract. If they're really a quarterback away, they won't be competitive anyway. So he's going to be an off-season trade, if anything. But again, I ain't trying to step on your feet. It's more along the line of timing doesn't make sense.
I want you to step on my feet.
We got to get moving.
Yeah, we do. It's okay. Move on.
Yeah, moving on from that dreadful game. So we'll talk about the Falcons and Panthers here. So I'll go first on this. I think the Falcons are going to win this game. What we've seen from the Panthers so far in preseason, I know it was preseason, but they played with a decent amount of their starters played a decent amount. The offense that we're going to see played a decent amount in the preseason, and they look like trash, to be completely honest. Their offensive line looks like a bus station turnstile, and Bryce Young is not. You need 3 things for a quarterback to be successful. I've said it before on this show. You need competent to elite offensive line play. You need good to great weapons on the outside or skill position players. And you need a great scheme. they might have one of those things, but some people aren't as high on Frank Reich as like other people. So I'm not totally sure they have any of those things. I think the Falcons are one of the more sneaky, hyped up teams in the offseason. I think they deserve it. They made a lot of solid moves at positions that they kind of need. And as long as Desmond Ridder doesn't turn the ball over, which it's never really been his MO, the Falcons are going to roll on the Panthers. And also another little note here, Brian Burns is seeking a contract extension, doesn't have it yet and hasn't been practicing. So, Louie, you wanna hit this one real quick?
Me?
Oh, my bad.
Yes,
Yeah,
just
Blake, you go first.
Yeah, I think you more or less hit it. Atlanta knows who they are. And Carolina is still figuring a lot of stuff out. And Atlanta, I think I know, like we know more or less how Atlanta's going to win games. It's going to be running the ball, controlling the clock, old school football, which we don't see that much of these days. And I feel like Carolina still has a lot of figuring out to do. And I don't know, Atlanta seems to be one of the more polarizing teams this year, kind of amongst pundits like us. Some people have them being one of the bottom teams in the league. Some people have them being like one of the better kind of upstart teams. I'm one of the latter, and I like Atlanta and this Carolina team.
All right, yeah. So, Louie, you good to go now?
Yeah, sorry. I agree on Falcons on this one. I do think the thing to watch in this game is both the best units are going to be on the field at the same time, meaning that defense will be the Panthers' strength, offense will be the Falcons' strength. And so it's really going to be who can create better mismatches. I think the Falcons have a really good offensive line against a decent Panthers defensive line, but I think their weapons greatly outplay the Panthers' backfield or their corner. You obviously have Jace Horn, who I'm a big believer in, but if he's taking Drake London, you're going to have nobody covering Kyle Pitts. And if they choose to say Kyle Pitts or they, double team Kyle Pitts while he takes Drake London, then you're going to see Bijan or Tyler Algier out of the backfield or both of them. So I think this team has what it needs to be successful. And I think Bryce Young showed great poise in the preseason. I'm not going to be a bitter fan that he didn't fall to us because he was my second ranked quarterback. So what I will say is I think he's going to get a lot of really good experience. I think he'll take care of the ball. I think where they're going to lose steam is just constantly being slightly short of the sticks. I think you're going to see that all night. Trouble judging. I think the young I just don't think they're going to translate those weapons into like pinpoint accuracy on moving the chains. And so I got the Falcons by probably like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm. All right, Shane, are you thinking differently from any of us here, or are you in line?
I'll make this quick, make it easy. I do not really trust either quarterback right now. They're both too much of a question mark right now, even though I think obviously Bryce Young has a higher upside. I look at trench warfare, who has the best offense and defensive line. We're going to see a lot of running the ball. I think the Panthers have the better combination offense and defensive line between the two teams. I think it's a low-scoring game, more like a 2024 type of contest. But, yeah, I think the Panthers start off week one with a rookie quarterback with the win. And I think the Falcons, overrated but slightly overhyped.
I could see that. I think the Falcons have a little bit better of an offensive line, but I guess you're going to have to see on Sunday because we've done enough on that game. So let's move on to Baltimore and Houston. Louie, take us off with your team, brother.
Yeah, I got Baltimore here just to be unbiased. Week 1 Lamar is an absolute cheat code. He plays unhinged, an absolute madman. I think the scheme will hold back the passing game a little bit as they get used to it. But I think as the season progresses, it'll get better. But I think the defensive line is going to suffer from youth on the edges against an MVP caliber quarterback that will run. So that was not a shot at Lamar. That slipped. So I do expect a pretty big point differential here, probably at least 10 in favor of Baltimore.
Yeah, 10's the line right now. Baltimore They have gone 7-1 in their last 8 openers and winning by a margin of 19.5 points in those games, and that's with that loss. So they typically are fully healthy in week 1, and they tend to roll on whoever they play. So yeah, I'm going Baltimore here. I think that they cover the 10, and I think the thing to watch here is really for at least the Texans fans is how does Will Anderson play against like a decent offensive line and a scheme that's built to negate that type of pressure? How does he play against Lamar Jackson? Can he if Lamar takes off upfield, can Anderson come up and catch him from the back or something like that? Also on offense, I mean somebody on your pass catchers is going to have to kind of show something. Both teams really. I'd like to see an emerging other weapon from like Damian Pierce or Mark Andrews. I'd like to see somebody else kind of show up in that game. Shane, you want to go for that?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with how the Texans have sort of built, especially in the offensive side, like the way it's going to look in the future. They've rebuilt the offensive line. They've added weapons. I think, no offense, Louie, I think it was a mistake to sign Noah Brown because all it's going to do is take snaps away from Tank Dell, who I thought was the clear star for y'all in the offseason. You know, I predicted a few months back that Stroud would show poise, but he would throw a lot of interceptions as well. A lot of that is just because not only is his protection going to be kind of iffy because of the health of the offensive line, but the problem that he had coming out of Ohio State was when he felt the pressure, he just kind of threw the ball. He didn't really have a whole lot of poise when feeling the pressure. He's got to learn how to take care of that better. One thing that helps him out is that he has my guy, Dalton Schultz, as a tight end, and rookie quarterback's best friend is a tight end who will get open, and that's something he can do. I don't think it's enough. I don't think they're ready to compete just yet. I like the moves the Ravens made. I actually like the Zay Flowers draft better than I like the Odell Beckham signing. And I think Rashard Bateman is going to make the Ravens receiving core better, not elite, but better. So yeah, I think the Ravens win. I think we'll see Houston play better than we did last year. We'll see effort at the very least.
Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot. Bahookie, you want to wrap this game up for us?
You know why the Ravens are so scary right now? They're healthy. We haven't seen that in a long time. And my goodness, yeah, they have an actual receiving core. They have healthy running backs. J.K. Dobbins is supposed to be the full version of J.K. Dobbins. We got Mark Andrews. We got Isaiah Likely. We got Zay Flowers. We got Rashad Bateman. I would be lying to you if I told you the Texans have any sort of chance in this game. I could come up with it. It would be a bunch of malarkey. It's the Ravens.
Not the malarkey. So we'll transfer from that malarkey to some other malarkey and let you go first with the Bills-Jets game here. And what do you think, buddy? Monday Night Football on 9/11 in New York.
Tough one. It matters. Divisional game. Jets beat us with Zach Wilson last year. That's what I've been hearing all off season is we beat you with Zach Wilson, yada yada. And it's like, all right. It's going to be a tough game on Monday night. I still like the Bills. I think the experience matters here. And all of these AFC East games are going to have a similar issue where the offensive lines are terrible. And the weapons in Green Bay are decent. They're not world beating. It's still Randall Cobb is starting out there. You know,
Green Bay.
Garrett Wilson is a legitimate weapon. Breece Hall will be on the field. I don't think he's going to be the full version of himself. Dalvin Cook hasn't had a full camp. Those guys are really good players. Breaking news. I like the Bills. I like the Bills in this game. And yeah, I'm gonna say we win by 8 to 10 points.
Okay. So
we'll separate in the fourth quarter. It's gonna be close most of the game, and then in the later parts of the game, we win by 8 to 10.
Yeah, we're also going to be talking about this game a day after it happens, like not even a full 24 hours later. So tune in next Tuesday because I feel let's talk about.
I'm gonna go with the Jets here. I ended up taking the Jets in my one of my parlays, my underdog parlay. I like their number. I like that they're playing in New York, so it's not technically an away game. It is an away game, but it's not an away game. I think that their defense is better than the Bills' defense currently. I just do. I think their defensive line's better. I think they have a little bit better in the secondary, and their offenses are quite similar. If you want to talk about weapons, like Garrett Wilson, Stephon Diggs. Like Diggs is better, but Garrett Wilson's nipping at his heels. Like Gabe Davis or Alan Lazard, very similar players. Deep ball threat, kind of go up and get them red zone guys. You have Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. They have better running backs, so it's like I'm gonna go with the Jets here. I think the Jets start out 1-0, and the Bills don't have a great track record in the Josh Allen era in Week 1. I know last year they smoked the Rams, but that was a Rams team that was falling apart at the seams. I think that this Jets team is young, hungry, and they think that they have the chance to win a Super Bowl. And that's kind of, I don't think they do win a Super Bowl, but they think they have a chance. So I think that they take that momentum and win that game. Shane, you want to go here?
Yeah, I like the Bills. I like it just because for some reason, whatever it is, that Josh Allen in the first 4 weeks of the season, every single year, look at the best quarterback in the league. And he has some sort of midseason struggle, and then towards the end, he picks it back up. That just feels like kind of the I don't want to call it a roller coaster, but kind of the continuum of his career, which is fine because they made it to the AFC Championship game a number of times that way, which is all the more. But I think the bigger reason no one's really talking about here is that, like, y'all talked about offensive lines. The Jets have really built their offensive line really well, but I don't trust the health of it. And while the Jets have a better overall pass rush here than the Bills do, I trust that the Bills' offensive line can hold up better against the Jets' pass rush than the Jets' offensive line hold up against the Bills' pass rush. And that, to me, is going to be the difference. We saw last year Aaron Rodgers have he had a solid year, but it was a down year by his standards. And that was primarily because the health of the offensive line was so really bad. The health of the offensive line from Green Bay was so bad last year. He took more hits. He was pressured more times in years. And as a result, the Packers suffered. And so I think just because of that, and I don't trust the health of Mekhi Becton. I have to no longer trust the health of Elijah Barrett-Tucker, even though I think he's one of the better guards in the game. I don't know what the interior is going to look like beyond. I don't even know what I'm not 100% sure what the running game is going to look like if we can't trust these guys to stay upright, because they're not going to have the same five all year long. And so I think the Jets might be able to win the next time around, but I got the Bills by 2 touchdowns in this first one.
Woo. All right, Louie, bring us home here.
I got the Jets in this one. I think it's going to be such a close game. Like, again, I think this is like 2-minute drive masterclass by Aaron Rodgers. I could see it going either way. The biggest swinger for me is No Von Miller for the Bills and Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed for the Jets. I think Diggs is going to have a problem getting open just because they're going to target him. I'm not super worried about Gabe Davis. Tight ends, people deal with tight ends how they deal with tight ends. Very few game break the way that the elite ones do. I think it'll be more low scoring than people anticipate, if I'm being honest. Like, I see this being Josh Allen struggles against a really, really good defense, and Aaron Rodgers struggles to understand a new offense because he's played in the same one for such a long time, and he struggles to kind of to build chemistry with his elite receiver, his running backs, all that stuff. So to me, this is like a ground and pound game, and I just think the Jets have the edge there.
All right, yeah. So we're split on that one. First one, we're split evenly down the middle. I think that's going to be a really fun game to watch, honestly. All right, moving on to the next one. One sec. Green Bay and Chicago. Let's do that one. I can start here. I originally was on the Packers here, and then, from a betting perspective, a lot of people kind of flew in on the Packers, and the line shift a little bit. So I don't believe that I'm going to be picking the Packers here. I think I'm going to take the Bears. I think I'm going to switch it up, take the Bears. I love kind of what they did this offseason. They went and got their franchise quarterback, a real offensive weapon in DJ Moore. that can slide Darnell Mooney into the 2 spot, which is really what he's more suited for. They had Darnell Wright, who is one of my top 3 offensive linemen in the draft. And he is agile, athletic, and will help with the mobility of Justin Fields and keeping him upright. I also think that they added I think it was TJ Edwards and the guy from the Bills. I'm blanking on his name now. The middle linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds. Who you add those 2 linebackers there. I know people want to devalue the linebacker position, but one of them's getting the green dot on their head and calling plays, acting as a team captain. Probably going to be Edmonds, and Edwards is a really, really good run stuffer. And the Packers with Jordan Love are really going to look to run the ball here in this first game. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears here, and they're finally gonna get that like thing off their back. Like I feel like the boogeyman's gone and Aaron Rodgers over there, kind of like what happened with Brady in the East. Like he's gone. We don't have to deal with him anymore. Let's see if we can beat this team because we've almost done it a few times. We just had that thing against us. Shane, you want to go first, or you want to take over here?
I'll absolutely go next. And I actually agree with you. The Bears should win this game, but it's not necessarily just because of the weapons that they added around him. I do agree the offensive line looks a lot better. I love Darnell Wright also, especially because he has the ability to play with guard and right tackle. I love that they found a spot for him out there. More importantly is this. You know who led the NFL in yards per attempt on the ground last year?
Who?
Chicago. You know who was 26th in total yards and 27th in yards per carry allowed on defense last year?
The Packers.
And in games like this, where you want to take the ball out of your quarterback's hands to allow him to develop better in the passing game, which they've done over the last couple of years, adding DJ Moore, he's found a connection with Cole Kmet at the tight end. Having the 3-headed backfield of Fields, Kylan Hill, and David Montgomery, I think could be too much. I think the Packers will be better than people think they will. I'm not buying into the Justin Fields MVP hype, but I do think right now the Bears have the better team, and I'm picking them in a close game.
All right. How are we feeling, Blake?
We're all agreeing, and I don't like it. I got Chicago here. It's like one of those if not now when moments. Chicago's at home here, and I like them to start their season on a high note. Yeah, I'm with Shane on not liking the Justin Fields MVP hype. I do like him to improve and take that next step as a passer and be at least average, which would really push him ahead. And yeah, I feel like Chicago has themselves a little bit more figured out right now offensively than Green Bay does, with Justin Fields versus Jordan Love. And I got Chicago here.
All right, Louie, wrap this one up for us.
Man, I thought I had a cold take, but I guess I got a hot one now. I've got the Packers.
Ooh,
Yeah, I thought honestly I was going to be like the 4th person to agree with this. I just don't like – I love DJ Moore, and I love his prospects with Chicago this year. I don't like the first week of DJ Moore and Justin Fields being hampered by the elite play of Jair Alexander. I also just don't love Chicago's coach that much. I don't think that's been talked about a lot. It's a lot of Justin Fields enamorment. It's a lot of GM. Ryan Poles really has the spotlight over there. Eberflus has always just kind of been a mid-tier coach for me. I'm excited to see what LaFleur does without Rodgers. And I'm not super high on Jordan Love or Justin Fields. And I think in 2 years, both of these teams are looking for new QBs. But I think the Packers just have a different approach to this game. And I think it's going to let them eke out a victory in what I would consider to be a very exciting and low-scoring game, if I'm being honest. I think there's a lot of turnovers in this.
All right. That works. I mean, I was on Green Bay for a while there, and then I don't know, just watching what the connection between Fields and Moore did to a little bit in the preseason. I don't know. I bought in a little bit more.
It's just all of that was yards after catch, and I just didn't really see it against, like, if they watch that same tape, I'm like, if I'm them, I'm making Justin Fields throw like medium to deep passes to DJ Moore against what I believe as the Packers GM to be the best corner in the NFL in Jair Alexander. And I think you push that mismatch as much as you can all night.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. We can move right on here to Cincinnati, Cleveland. I'll actually, no, here. We can have Shane. Shane, you start. You start, buddy.
Bengals next.
So I mean, I guess I'll go now. I kind of like the Browns. I kind of like the Browns here. Only reason being Burrow's banged up. I liked what they did on defense. They added Dalvin Tomlinson. They had some run stuffers. They got Myles Garrett still. Hopefully Denzel Ward comes back and plays as a number one cornerback. And I mean, I'm kind of in on Deshaun Watson coming back to being who he was. That's kind of just where I'm at. I like that there.
Who he was on the field or under the cover?
On the field, under the counter doesn't really matter to me. He can do what he likes on that point. I'm not betting on the human being. I think the football player.
Huh? I know.
Yeah.
I had a prediction a while back.
You definitely had to stick me with that. That's cool. Like he did maybe once or twice. All right, Blake, you go next.
I see why. Like this is one of the games coming into this week that I thought was like one of the more exciting ones on the slate. And then like now that like we're here, I feel like I can see why people would like kind of like week one. Maybe this is where Cincinnati will slip up. Burrow's coming back. And that's exactly why Cleveland's going to lose, because there's some sort of expectations for them to perform, and Cincinnati's going to win.
All right. That makes sense. Team doesn't have expectations very often in Cleveland. Can they handle it? Who knows? Probably not. Louie, are we going to be split, or are you taking the 3-1 and getting out of there?
I'm taking the Bengals, and my sole reasoning is that Deshaun Watson has not played a week one game since 2020. He played games last season, but week one is a different feel. You come out of camp, everybody's rusty, right? No one can really carry the load. And I just like Trey Hendrickson, I think, is a super underrated player, and I like him as a run stopper quite a bit too, not just a pass rusher. He's not elite, but I think he's good. And also, I really like DJ Reader, who I think is starting for them. He's been an elite run stuffer a few years over his career. So I think they'll try and take the Nick Chubb card away as much as you can stop a great running back like Chubb. I think if Joe Burrow plays, it's very easily a Cleveland game. I mean, a Cincinnati game.
All right. Sounds good. Moving on to the next one. Dallas and Giants. Shane, rip it up, buddy.
Oh. You want me to go while he's getting ready?
Yeah.
So I have the Cowboys in this matchup because Dak Prescott, I think, is 8-0 versus the Giants over the last 8 matchups or something crazy like that.
10-0.
10-0? Yeah, I was going to say it's some crazy number. He just has that. He has that edge over them. And I just think the Giants are going to rely on a lot of new weapons. And I like the Cowboys defense so much. Like Stephon Gilmore was such an underrated ad. He still has it, I think. Trayvon Diggs is a way too hated on cornerback. Micah Parsons might be the best defensive player in the game. Like, I think they tried to add to their run defense on the interior with the defensive tackle Mozzie Smith they added this offseason. I watched a couple of their preseason games, and I think they got some real dogs further down the depth chart, and that's really what tips this as an easy Dallas game for me. So there you go, Shane. Right. Finally, some praise for your boys. Record it.
You ready to go, bud?
I mean, am I allowed to pick this game?
Yeah. Blake picked the Bills. It's okay.
With all due respect to Brian Dable and the moves they made, I've been really impressed. The problem is that like I have less than no faith in Daniel Jones. I call him dime store Josh Allen for a reason. I think move. I think he can throw it deep. I don't trust his deep ball accuracy. I think the reason they got Darren Waller was because they wanted to do more intermediate passing games because there's a reason he averaged under 6 yards per completion before contact. That's been I point that the only reason I know this guy, I brought that up so many times in the past.
Those interdivision stats we all have tucked in our bells.
You mentioned that. I think that Dak Prescott doesn't lose in the division. It's very rare that he does that, and I trust the majority of what the Cowboys are than who we think the Giants might be. And the Cowboys, and I'm gonna leave it at this: the Cowboys are who we think they are until they prove me wrong and they become who we think they are.
Mm-hmm. All right. I will go ahead and I'm going to take the boys as well here. I think they're going to win this division. To win this division, you got to win divisional games. And as much as I do like the Giants and their improvements, I said as much. I think the offense is going to take a step forward, but I think the shine of the Brian Daboll coaching scheme is going to kind of fade a little bit in the wins department. I think they won a lot of close games last year, and I think this is going to be a tight game. But I do think the Cowboys are going to edge it out against them. Blake, you want to finish? Wait, did we do you already on this one?
Nope, didn't do me.
All right, word.
You guys made a lot of good points. For me, what it comes down to, as it does with a lot of these week 1 games, at least when I'm evaluating them, is like identity. And I feel like the Cowboys know who they are better than who the Giants are. Like, I don't know who the top receivers are going to be for the Giants. I mean, I guess you can say that about like the Chiefs too, outside of like Travis Kelce, but I don't know. That's apples and oranges. Dable, like Shane had said, Dable has done a really good job. Giants have not done very well in like primetime games in recent history. And this is a tough spot for them to come out in week 1. And I think Cowboys get Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson. They're involved early. I think Cowboys jump out to an early lead. And like Giants are kind of a team that needs to like play with a lead. It's going to be hard for the Giants to play from behind.
Word. All right, moving right along then. Another gross game here. Denver and the Raiders. I'm basically just going to say this game might end in a tie.
Who cares? Next game.
Yeah, straight up. Like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pick the Raiders because I don't know. I don't trust. I just don't trust what I've seen from the Broncos. That team looked disheveled last year for much of the year, and we all know it because they were force-fed down our mouths in primetime football. It was unfortunate to watch. This game's going to be just not fun. It's going to be a defensive rock fight. I think that the Raiders win in like a last-second field goal, 17-14. Moving on for me. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. It's going to be whatever team winning breaks the most parlays on Sunday. So I would have to go look at those totals to see how that's going to affect the nation. My gut says Raiders as well. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be better than Samaj Pirine or recovering Javonte Williams. I think they both have pretty abysmal offensive lines, if I'm being honest. Like Garrett Bowles, I guess, is on the Broncos, but I don't really love either of these teams in the trenches other than the defensive line of the Raiders. I like Max Crosby. I like Chandler Jones, although there seem to be some issues there. And I really like Tyree Wilson coming out. So I'm going to take Raiders. I don't like it, but
nobody's going to like that game.
I think it depends on which quarterback's going to operate better under pressure. I think that's what it comes down to.
All right, Shane, you want to rip this one up?
The 2 runs in the 4th.
You know, what's crazy, 6 years ago, Jimmy Garoppolo versus Russell Wilson would have actually been a fun match to watch. It's crazy to think where we've come. I don't think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton are going to have this magical connection that we all expected to have. I don't really see that, but what I do see is a defensive game. You mentioned 17-14 as a potential score. I think that's probably accurate because I don't trust either team's offensive line. I think it's going to come down to which team can move the ball, which team can score points, and which team can allow the least. And I actually, in this one, I'm going to go with the team with I think has the better overall defense, and that's the Broncos. I think from secondary down to defensive line, I think the Broncos have more playmakers and have a better scheme on defense than the Raiders do. Again, it ain't going to be a fun game to watch, but I like the Broncos a little bit more, and it won't be because of the quarterback play. It'll be because of the intangibles on the other side of the ball. So I'm going Broncos, low scoring, close game.
Word, Blake, finish this off.
Yeah, I like the 17-14 prediction too. I think, low scoring, ugly game, mistakes done by both offenses. Yeah, the tie is a good call too. That's funny. I'm gonna say in week 1, I hate the Broncos a little bit less because I feel like the Sean Payton's gotta get this team a little bit better, and I feel like the Broncos will like give people like a false sense of hope early in the season and maybe win like 2 or 3 games before they like remind everyone they're like, no, just kidding, we're the Broncos.
Yeah, honestly, what we should have done is we should have just looked to see who Adam Rank took and just take the opposite of that pick because he always picks these games wrong.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Jacksonville and Indy. I think this is going to be a clear-cut one for most of us here. Jacksonville by 3 touchdowns for me. I think they smoke Indy, honestly. So, yeah, there you go. Moving on for me.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm taking Jacksonville as well. I just think better defense, better offense. Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. And this is not to disparage the Colts fans. I do hate you, but I don't hate your team that much. I like Anthony Richardson, but he's a project quarterback. And all these fans who expect him to come out and just like light the league up week 1 is not a realistic expectation for where he was. He has so few college starts. That line is not good. And I don't love the weapons. So yeah, if no JT, this is a Jaguars game.
I could see Anthony Richardson rushing for like 150 yards, but just no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and just like, oh, he looks so good. It's like, but where did he catch you in this game? Nowhere.
He'll run for 180 yards, and he'll lose 96 of those from holding calls on the offensive line, which is exactly what happened in the season. And then, they're going to punt. Like, he'll be fine. It's the rest of the team that isn't going to congeal around a quarterback who needs support in his rookie season.
Yeah. All right. That was a quick one. We made up some ground there. So Rams and Seahawks is up next.
Another easy one.
Seahawks
Blake,
win.
you want to start?
Seahawks win.
Okay. All right. Blake already said it. Seahawks win. Louie, go for it.
Yep, I got Seahawks here as well. Name 4 players on the Rams defense if you can. And also no Cooper Kupp, a bad to middling offensive line that's young at this point. I don't see a real path to victory here for the Rams other than a Sean McVay masterclass. And if he was playing a whole lot of other, like some other coaches in the league, believable, I don't think Pete Carroll gets taken for a ride that often. So I have the Seahawks and an elite receiving core here.
Unless he's playing Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl. All right, enough of that. Yeah, Seahawks for me. I think they win by 10 points here. I think they cover the spread pretty easily. If Cooper Kupp's playing, it's more exciting of a game. But you hit it right in the first statement. Name 4 players on the Rams defense. I'm struggling to do that. And I know most players in the NFL.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So does most of you guys.
We're all football degenerates. And somebody said that to me the other day. And I named 6 people. And they're like, nope, they got cut. Nope, they're not there anymore. And I was like, really?
You're like, damn, okay, this is not good. All right, moving right on from that gross game. Also, Indy has a track record of
we got like Shane pick.
Yeah, Shane.
Oh no, Shane said the Jags right away.
No, we're at Seahawks.
I'm sorry.
With the Seahawks. All right, next one.
I love Sean McVay. The Seahawks are a rising team, and the Rams, I'm glad they gave all that up for a Super Bowl. That's what you're supposed to do, but they are starting to see themselves more towards the Rams who left St. Louis. So yeah, Seahawks.
All right. Where I didn't mean to skip over you there, but I thought you did one of those at the beginning of it. So, okay, moving right on. Where are we at here? Chargers against the Finns. So Lou, you want to start?
Yeah, this is like one of my must-watch games of the week. I'm super excited for this one. I have the Dolphins by a slim margin. Unless the Chargers defense is just drastically improved, which I don't think they will be. I think I like Vic Fangio and I like Fangio defense. I think they have some underrated pieces on the defensive side of the ball. And when Tua plays, he gets it done. So I think Herbert puts on an absolute showstopper. And I just think the pieces don't fall right and the Dolphins are able to run the clock out on them.
Shane, go for it, buddy.
No, I agree. I'm taking the Dolphins too, and it's because like not only is it the Vic Fangio effect, but it's also just because the pass rush from the Chargers, which used to be their best asset on defense, has gotten old. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, yeah, two players who might both be in the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. Khalil Mack for sure are both guys who already have had injury concerns. The secondary looks solid for the Chargers. But they don't have a whole lot of pass rush going on for them in terms of like proven guys. They have pieces, not really proven guys. The Dolphins have guys. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are guys that they with under Vic Fangio. Bradley Chubb especially, who was with him in Denver, he loves to bring 5-6 man pressures, especially on third downs. I saw it as a Cowboys fan, and I saw it like at firsthand. He's a guy who knows how to dial the blitzes. I also love the fact that Tua is going to have a better what looks to be a better offensive line. I shouldn't say I like the connection he has with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think they have a better secondary than the Chargers do. Even though the Chargers have a good secondary, I think the Dolphins have a better one, even with the addition of Jalen Ramsey. So I'm going Dolphins also. I'm going to say I think a 5-point victory more. Like I think it's going to take a touchdown to beat them.
Yeah, Javon Holland, underrated player.
It was my safety in that draft class, Javon Holland. They got him in the second round.
Yeah. Baby goat.
So I have the Dolphins here too. This was another team on my my underdog parlay. This was the second team, my 3-team one. I think that I just don't trust the charge. I don't trust Brandon Staley to get it done. I just don't. That's what it comes down to. I just don't trust him whatsoever. I think the offense is going to be great, high scoring, electric game, but Tua's healthy. He has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and as Taron Armstead plays in this game, I think that it should be a touchdown win for the Dolphins here. Blake, did you go for that one?
Not yet.
Go for it.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of the games of the week, no doubt about it. I'm going to say Chargers this week. Similar reason as I said about the Ravens. You know why the Chargers are so scared? They're healthy. They got a Joey Bosa and a Derwin James and and Mike Williams, and half their team isn't on the IR report right now. And it's just really tough for teams to go out for a daytime game from East Coast to West Coast. LA's the home team here. And then same deal with like when I was talking about Cleveland and Cincinnati. Miami's got some expectations right now. And this is going to be a recurring theme. Like me and Louie are going to be on opposite sides. Like Louie's got Miami being quite a good team this year. I have Dolphins being 9-8 again. And that my picks are going to reflect that. And
you have to wait because they start good. And then they start good and then they lose 8 games in a row. So
they have 2 seasons.
We're in the good phase of the start.
It's they could start hot or they could start cold and then they win a bunch of games at the end for no when they're already. But anyways, I got the Chargers in like a 24-23, 27-26 kind of deal.
All right, word. Shane, who'd you have for this one again? Sorry.
The Dolphins.
All right, word. Dolphins.
I had the Chargers.
Just real quick, I'm going to touch on this. If the Chargers have a bad season and Staley gets hired, The league must not let Ben Johnson go to the Chargers. I'm telling you all now.
Kellen Moore would get elevated, in my opinion. I think they would just elevate him right up from the OC. I think that's their plan anyway. I think they know that Staley's going to boof it. Because he is a supreme boof master. That's what Brandon Staley is.
Yeah, that might happen mid-season.
Yeah, straight up. I actually have that as my bold take for the Chargers, that he gets fired mid-season.
Let's move on.
Moving on. Yeah, moving on. We got Minnesota, Tampa Bay. I'm going to get spicy here, fellas. I think Tampa Bay is winning this game. Straight up. Yep. I think Baker Mayfield coming out feeling dangerous on week 1 against
Man's a Baker
fraudulent.
believer.
The Vikings are fraudulent. The Vikings are fraudulent. The Vikings are fraudulent. How many more times can I say that? They went 11 and 0 in one-score games, and all those one-score games were decided by 3 points or less. Okay, last year, that is not happening again. They lose 4 of those games. They go, what's it called? 9-8, not 13-4. They're in totally different light. They got beat by the Giants in the playoffs by a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like, and they released half their defense. Like, they don't have a good defense. The Vikings are very bad on defense. The Buccaneers are still a veteran team. This is a solid team, but had a 45-year-old Tom Brady playing quarterback last year, which is better than a lot of players. But like you were more limited in what you can do. He wasn't really interested in pushing the ball as much or taking risks. Baker Mayfield is a risk taker. He's going to throw that ball in there. I think they have elite weapons on the outside. I like their running back. I like their offensive line. They still have some decent pieces on their defense. Vikings are fraudulent. That's where we're at. So, who wants to go next? And that. I think it's a 1 o'clock game, but that too. Kirk Cousins can't play in primetime. Bad at primetime.
You leave Kirk Thuggins alone, man. That's my guy.
No, I'm gonna push Kirk Cousins to the handlebar mustache.
Love Kirk Cousins.
All right, somebody take the wheel from me before I keep rattling off things about the fraudulent Vikings. Bahookie, you want to say something? Go for it.
Close game. I don't hate take the idea of taking Tampa here. Like, it's a week 1. This could be one that Tampa could win for no reason other than it's week 1 and it's just funky. Minnesota's at home, and they still got a lot of playmakers, and they're healthy right now. And I'm going with Minnesota, but I don't feel incredibly confident about it.
Okay, all right, Louie, go for it.
Yeah, I got Vikings here. I like Jordan Addison. I like TJ Hawkinson, and I think the trio of that with Justin Jefferson is just a pretty unstoppable force. I also just like I like Kirk Cousins. I'm not afraid to say it. You like that? So
I don't.
Real shootout here. I got a plus 50 score on this game, probably plus 60, more like pushing it. So hammer the over on this game. No defense will be played. Scores will light up. Fantasy points abound. And I have the Vikings eking it out by a small, 2 to 3 point margin.
All right, Shane, finish us off here. Oh, you look.
Is it bad that I think that they're kind of the same team, the Vikings and Bucks are?
No.
To me, they seem kind of similar. If it wasn't for the Mike Evans contract saga and the Vikings losing Dalvin Cook, I would say the offenses look a lot similar. The problem is their offenses both look on the downtrod. If it comes down to quarterbacks, I think Baker Mayfield has higher upside. Kirk Cousins has more consistency. In terms of defense, these guys have defensive players on the Bucks, but not a lot of I don't know what happened to Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett kind of disappeared all of a sudden, but I guess I'm gonna go with the Bucks also. I don't really know what to make of this team because neither one of them look any that much different than last year in terms of better or worse. So I'm just gonna go Bucks based on, I guess, on nothing. I had no analysis.
You're on faith on there. You're living on a prayer on that one. I think regression is going to hit the Vikings really hard this year. That's because they were such an outlier team in a lot of different metrics and in a way that's not what you want to really see as a first ballot playoff team. So yeah, I think that they come back down to earth down there.
Yeah.
All right. Back. All right, to my Patriots. Patriots versus Eagles. Oh,
Do what you got to do.
no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna hit you with one stat here that we figured out on the Gritty Gamblers the other day. Since 2000, losers of the Super Bowl playing in their first game coming off that Super Bowl loss have lost the game 18 out of 22 times. So you were speaking about the Super Bowl hangover with the Chiefs. The team that wins the Super Bowl has a much better chance to win their opener than the team that loses the Super Bowl. Then I'm going to hit you with another point. So you were talking again about Andy Reid having time to prepare on the offense for a team. Bill Belichick has had lots of time to prepare for the Eagles on the defense. I think that this game turns out to be a rock fight. Patriots going to stay competitive in it. And you know what? I'll do it. I think they're going to win by a field goal late in the game.
Yeah, Bill Belichick also had a lot of time to sign a receiver this offseason too, and he didn't get that done. So
he didn't do that. He didn't do that. He didn't sign any offensive line pieces either. I'm just going by trends here, though. History and trends. Blake, tell me why I'm wrong. I know you're going to.
I think the Patriots make this like a game, like for no reason, and it's week 1, and I think they cover the spread, but they lose the game at the end. Like, I think it's like a weird score, like I don't know, like a 25-22 or something like that. Or maybe even closer than that, like a 1 or 2 point game. I think New England will make this into like an ugly game, and Philly, I mean, had similar deal with Detroit last year, week 1. That one came down to the wire. I think this will be like a game to like give Pats fans like false hope or something, and yeah.
Yeah, I lean the other way there, probably because I'm a Pats fan. But Shane, go for it, buddy. That's my boy.
Well, part of me really wants to pick the Patriots just because, like, all the Eagles content creators and reporters and all that are talking more about the Cowboys this week than they are the Eagles. By the way, the Eagles don't play the Cowboys till week 9. I don't know why they can't talk about their own team without mentioning ours. Probably because we've been living rent-free in their heads since the 70s. That's neither. They owe us back taxes. But again, that's neither here nor just for this game alone, I do have to give credit to Belichick. That Belichick and and Tom Brady has something to do with this. He's only lost twice in opening games as a head coach in the last 20 years. Again, part of that has to do with Tom Brady, but part of it also is because he's a really good defensive coach, and that's one thing the Patriots do have is a good defense. Problem is the Eagles have a much more complete roster even when they have to replace pieces on the defense. And even though I don't think the Eagles will be as good as they were last year, they are still one of the elite teams in the NFL. I think the Patriots will make it a fight. I still think it's going to be a close win for Philly.
Okay, yeah, Louie, I know you want. I know you're taking Philly here, but anything else to add on that?
I have Eagles by 8.
Okay, that it.
I think this Eagles defensive line is going to absolutely obliterate the Patriots offensive line. I think not patching that has been the biggest oversight for them of the offseason. I think so. What I think you're going to see is I really think it's going to be like this ground and pound, like short little dink and dunk stuff by the Eagles, a Jalen Hurts scramble for 4 yards, crosser by Smitty for 5 yards, Swift up the middle for 2 yards. They're going to do that all the way up the field, field goal, touchdown kind of thing. I think the Patriots are going to do 2 positive plays and 1 big negative play, and then they'll punt. Like, that's just how I see the night going. Jalen Carter is going to eat the interior of this line. I don't love their tackles. Like, there's just a lot of talent on this roster. Nolan Smith, Hassan Reddick, who's one of my top edge rushers. I think he's constantly disrespected. They brought back their corners. Like, I just don't see this going well for the Patriots. And I don't necessarily think that's Coach Belichick's fault. I think that's GM Belichick's fault.
Oh, he shouldn't be the GM. I've made that's been a thing for me for a couple of years now. I don't like his decision making in the front office. But I wouldn't have picked the Patriots if I didn't see the stat about the Super Bowl loser losing their opener. That's
I
what
see
kind of throws me a little bit.
I'm a big believer in regressing towards the mean, and I just don't believe that like at some point you just have to say like this stat varies because you can never predict. There's no anchor variable in games like that. But
All right,
you know,
moving on here. Moving
statistician.
on.
got
I get
two.
you. All right,
Yeah,
so we
let's
got
crank this
New
up.
Orleans and Tennessee here.
I'll
I'm
take
gonna
that.
go.
Oh,
Go
ahead.
for it. Go for it. No, you
I
go.
I've got New Orleans in this game. I think while everybody's healthy for the first 3 games, they're going to play really well. Tennessee will field a decent defense, but I don't like their line. Derrick Henry's going to play fine. We'll just have to see how Hopkins looks and Treylon Burks looks. Like this receiving core has some question marks for me as far as durability goes. And also if Lattimore's playing, I don't know. Lattimore just has a way of stuffing some of these older wide receiver ones. So expect him to get a little physical with Hop and them have to try and go elsewhere.
All right, Shane, go for it.
I think Derek Carr has been one of the more underrated quarterbacks since he's been in the league. I think behind a much more improved offensive line in New Orleans than he had in Vegas. I think a much deeper receiving core, not better, but deeper receiving core in New Orleans than he did in Vegas. And also on top of this, I just like the New Orleans receivers better than I like the Tennessee secondary. Tennessee is amping towards a rebuild. They keep drafting quarterbacks. I don't know when they're going to just like go all in for a rebuild. I think, and Louis mentioned the first 3 weeks, even though they won't have Alvin Kamara those 3 weeks, they will have what will be probably the best team in what's been a bad NFC South. The Saints to me are one of those teams you have to watch out for because while the NFC is not deep, there's 3, maybe 4 teams in the NFC to watch out for. The Saints are that 5th or 6th team that could make some noise come playoff time because I think they should be the favorite to win the South, and it starts with this one. And I like them not big, but like maybe 9 or 10 points over Tennessee.
All right, word. Blake, finish this off for us.
I like them big, 2 or 3 possessions here. I have no faith in Tennessee right now. Maybe Vrabel will make me regret that, but I think that the Saints get off to a good start here with Derek Carr and get Michael Thomas involved, get Chris Olave offense. Yeah, Kamara's not playing, but I think New Orleans has a lot more to feel excited about this season than Tennessee does, and I like the Saints in this game.
Word. Yeah, I'm a Saints guy here too. We're all picking the Saints. That obviously means the Titans are going to win this game by 3 and piss us all off. So yeah, I can't bring myself to pick the Titans. I was shitting on them all season long or all off season long. I've been saying they're going to be a regression type team. I think that Mike Vrabel's squeezed the most out of this roster that he can, but it only gets you so much when you're trying to do that. Like at some point, the skill level is going to catch up with them. And I don't like this offensive line on the Titans. I do like the defensive line on the Saints. So yeah, trench warfare. Give me the Saints in this game. All right, we're rounding this out with we have 1, 2, I think 2 more games left here.
I think it's just Steelers, Niners, right?
Oh yeah, because I'm looking at it and the like my schedule thing has all the teams on here, so some of them were twice. But yeah, so Pittsburgh Steelers versus the 49ers. I'll go first here. This rounds out my underdog parlay because I have the Steelers in this. So that underdog parlay from the Gritty Gamblers is Steelers, Dolphins, Jets. $10 wins you $110. So, I think the Steelers have had the best offseason in the NFL. They looked the very best in the preseason with their starters. Kenny Pickett. The NFL should have the most improved player of the year award. Found out recently that they don't. Maybe that's because I'm dumb and I thought that they did have that award. And if they did, Kenny Pickett would be winning it. I think he has elite weapons on the outside, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. They finally got Isaac Seumalo, and they added DeJuan Jones to this offensive line. DeJuan Jones? No, Broderick Jones. I'm sorry. to this offensive line. Those are two elite pieces, adding to each side of your offensive line, strengthening it. And on the 49ers side, Nick Bosa still hasn't come to camp yet, or still hasn't come to practice yet. They're still a couple $1 million apart on their contract deal. And yeah, I think that the 49ers have to travel from the West Coast to the East Coast. They're playing Mike Tomlin, who's a certified dog. And yeah, that about wraps it up there for me. I'm taking the Steelers on the plus money there for the win. Blake, go for it.
I'm with you. I've got the Steelers one too, and yeah, I've been all over the 49ers hype train and saying that they're going to the Super Bowl, and I'm still saying that. But Mike Tomlin, I'll argue with Steelers fans all day. The thing about Mike Tomlin is he always has his teams ready to go. Like his teams go like he might go into games where they're the other team's more talented, yada yada, but like he has his teams prepared on game day. They know what they need to know, and that's one of the big things in week one that you really see because teams have had months and months to prepare for this game, and I'm gonna go back to what Lamb said. They're so hot right now. Everything we've seen from their first team right now, they're lighting the world on fire. And I had another identity right now. The 49ers just found out who their starting quarterback is, and that's good. And they're gonna build on that with Brock Purdy. But in this week one microscope, I kind of like where Pittsburgh is as a team right now, a little bit better than where San Francisco is. Obviously, it's a long season that can change.
Shane, hit this, and then Louis can wrap us up, and then we'll get out of here.
I don't know if I've seen a team dedicated more to the young quarterback in this offseason than Pittsburgh. They added Isaac Seumalo from the Eagles. They drafted Broderick Jones from Georgia. They revamped an offensive line that was last in the league in allowing sacks 2 years ago. And then they added Allen Robinson to improve that third wide receiver spot along with Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. They already had one of the better defenses despite an underachieving offense. And y'all mentioned the X factor is Mike Tomlin, who I think is, if not the best coach in the NFL, one of easily the top 3 coaches in the NFL. And while I respect the hell out of Kyle Shanahan, I still wonder if the Brock Purdy thing was a flash in the pan type of move at all. You know, I say that as a Cowboys fan who's lost both seasons 2 years in a row to the 49ers. But I also know a lot of times from trends that the team that adds more to their team to aid their quarterback will often start early in success and struggle more towards the middle than teams who don't add for the other guys. I think San Francisco might struggle to start, but they'll do better later on in the season. Pittsburgh, I feel like, will be a team we talk about early in the season, but might have some struggles halfway through. But in this game, I'm going Pittsburgh also.
Word, Louis. Actually, one thing before you start, I think Brock Purdy's gonna see a lot of T.J. Watt in his face in this game. I think he's gonna see a lot of T.J. Watt in his face, and I think Purdy's gonna be on his back quite often in this game. Louis, go for it.
Yeah, so this is absolutely crazy, but I'm also taking the Steelers. So one of our very few unanimous. That's why I was shocked. I was like, "It's happening! I can't believe it." I have some question marks on the right side of San Francisco's line. I have some real questions about how quickly he came back from Tommy John surgery. Brock Purdy did. It's not a very common thing that happens in the NFL. Like I looked it up. There's like 2 well-known ones. It's like Nick Mullins, who is also on the 49ers at one point, and like Jake Delhomme. I have some question marks around that, and I don't think that Mike Tomlin is going to go easy on this team. Defensively, they're going to be ready to play. And I think this is a real slugfest, but I think Steelers are better positioned to put up some points week 1. So I also have the Steelers by like 4 or 5.
Word up, man.
What was that, Shane?
You struggled to say Jake Delhomme.
I did. I was like reading it. It's a long day for me here. I was like Delhomme.
Who is this guy?
It's been a long time since I've heard that name. Okay, it was like 2007. I was young. I was 10 years old and cut me a break.
Okay, guys, we went through every game on the schedule. We got our record predictions and we got our game picks out. So next week,
we missed a record prediction, and
oh,
that's
no, I'm sorry. I meant,
going to be the best football show of the NFL season, and I'm putting my money on Fifth Down territory. So make sure I come back next week.
Hell yeah,
God's
hell yeah. Next week, after all these games are over, we'll tally up who is right, who is wrong, and we will have our record predictions underneath our names for our next or not. I keep saying record predictions. Jesus Christ. We will have our results from week 1 under this, and then we'll be adding to it on our StreamYard under our StreamYard name on the white there. So you'll be able to see what our picks were and what our record is throughout the whole season. At the end of that, whoever has the most wins is going to be king of the show. So we have that to look forward to, fellas. There is a little bit of stakes on this.
That means that Shane has to submit them. Weeks you can't make it. You got to send them in. We'll read them off.
Whatever I got to do to win.
I got a big head, but we're going to get it sized for a crown. All right.
All right. On that note, see you guys later. This was Fifth Down Territory presented by StadiumRant. Make sure you give all these nice fellas a follow. Follow us at StadiumRant and our new Twitter account. I'm sorry, our new X account. Never get used to saying that. Wakanda forever. Had to get that in there. Now I will end this and let everybody else go get on with the rest of the night. It's week 1. We're here. Football's back, baby. Let's